Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. So, we're here today. We're going to be doing some live readings, which I'm looking forward to. I hope you are as well. And I just want to introduce myself to those of you who are perhaps new. So, my name is Hannah. I'm a Western Practical Astrologer. I have been studying astrology extensively for the last 7 years, actually coming up to 8 years. It's crazy. And if you are a returning viewer of the channel, I want to say welcome back. I hope you're doing good. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And yeah, so we're going to be doing some live chart readings today. So, the ways in which to book a reading within this session, you can follow the instructions below, but it's pretty simple. So, you can book a reading by choosing one of the following options, either the 10-minute reading, which is $25, or by asking a question, which is $20. But in order to book it, you send through a payment to my PayPal, and I will receive that. And once I have received it, you're booked in, and you also have to let me know your time of birth, your date of birth, and your place of birth. And if you do want this information kept private, let me know that too. Okay, basically, all of this information that I'm saying is in the description box. Hi, hello to HH, hello to Joko NHIZ. Hi. Now, we do have someone who has booked in already, I see, and that is Joey. So, is Joey in the audience at all? And I want to say thank you so much, Joey, for booking. And even just whilst I wait, because it's often good to get people in first. Hello, A. Uh, okay, great. I hope you're doing good as well this lovely Friday evening. Hello, Janani. Hi, welcome to you. Hello, Soul. Hi. Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome. I do just want to let you know though that I will be hosting a workshop. It's going to be a workshop all about annual perfections. So looking at this ancient timing technique, this wonderful tool. So, yeah, this is just to let you know. And the ways in which to register is by going to my website, hannahselsewhere.com. What I'll actually do right now is I will add the link to the description box so you can just click on that link so it's a bit easier for you. But there is the workshop section over at my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And basically, you just register by putting in your email, your date of birth, and then I will get back to you. So it's going to be hosted at the end of March. I'm thinking here the 30th of March. I think that is going to be the date. So if you're interested, come along, register. It'll be a good time. It's also going to be interactive, so you can ask me about your chart. You can ask me about your own sort of annual perfections, what's coming up for you. And the reason why there's a big birthday cake there is because, well, annual perfections are strongly tied to your birthday. So we'll get into it. We will get into it in the workshop. So let me just place the information here. Thank you so much for joining me today as well. It's good to have you here. So I'm going to save that. Voila. So that should be available there. The link, I'm just going to come out of that and come out of here. And then I'm going to remove this. Hello. Yeah, so you said about astrology, it's helped you dive deep and understand the subject better. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. We love to hear it. We love to see it. I'm glad. Okay, so we've got somebody else who has booked within this particular session. We have Healy. Thank you so much. So I'm going to take your information, Healy. So as I say, Joy has booked. So Joy is going to be first up today. I got to say, You know, today I've been feeling quite tired, a bit tired, a bit yeah. And it is interesting because I'm pretty sure the moon is void of course right now. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes void of course moons they do hit me at times. I'm like, but anyway, okay, so let's see. Healy, just checking your information. Okay, perfect. You're going to be next up then. And then, as I say, Joy is going to be first. And let's see. Okay, great. So, is Joy in the audience at all? Are you with us, Joy? Are you there? Are you here for your live reading? If not, it's okay if you do miss. If you miss your reading, because what can often happen is, well, this does happen, is you book it, but maybe you're a little bit down the list within this particular session, and then it takes me a while to get to it. And some sessions can last for a couple of hours. So if you've got something to do, maybe you're at work, or maybe you're busy running errands, whatever you're doing, do not worry. The reading will be here for you whenever you are ready. The video will be left up. Okay, so we have another reading booked, and this is a question. Okay, great. I'm just taking down your information, and that is Anand. Thank you so much for booking, Anand. Let's see. Uh-huh. Is anybody else feeling slightly more tired today? I mean, it's not going to be for everyone, is it? But this is how I feel. And okay, got it. Okay, that's no problem, Anand. Got that. No problem. Keep it private. Let's see. Okay, so AK. Hello, Naomi. Welcome to you. Okay, I'm just so AK. Okay, AK. I'm putting your information. Okay. Excuse my silence. I'm focusing to write. I'm trying to be as quick as I can. Okay. 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 Great. Thank you, AK. Okay. And we have another come through. Okay, Naomi. Naomi, do you have your, of course you can, it's up to you as to how you do this, but I'm going to need your place of birth, time of birth, and also your date of birth. So if you want to put it in the chat, you can, or you can always send it to me via my email, hannahselsewhere@outlook.com. It just really depends on how comfortable you feel, with your information in this way. I just want to have that as an option for people, you know what I mean? But yeah, so it's a question that you have. So we've got you booked in as well. So you're the fourth member. Thank you so much. So it's a question. Got it. And then we also have Amanda. Let's see. Amanda is booked in. It's a 10-minute reading. Have you booked before, Amanda? I don't know. I recognize, I don't know, maybe the name. I could be wrong. But thank you for booking. I'm just putting in your information now. Let's see. No problem. I'm assuming you haven't booked before. Okay. Let's see. I'm like trying to train my brain not to read the information out loud. I'm like that. Like whatever's on my mind, I'm just sort of like I talk it through. I'm like, no, don't read it out loud. Hannah, don't. Resist. Okay. Okay, Amanda, perfect. And Naomi, I'm trying to get back to you. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so okay. And also, Naomi, what's your question? Okay, so just to confirm, we have Joey, followed by Haley. Then we have AK. Then we move on to Naomi, followed by Amanda. So we have 5 of you booked in so far. We'll see who else joins. I think the limit today is, I'd say, between 8 and 10. Between 8 and 10 people. But yeah, I'm waiting for your question, Naomi. What is your question? Thank you so much for booking as well, everyone. Thank you. So, okay, career. All right. Got your question. Perfect. And as I was saying previously, if you are waiting a little bit longer, this video will be here. This video will be here for whenever you are ready, whenever you're maybe not busy doing something. Yeah, I'll keep it up for you. All right. So just to let you know, Keith, in order to book a reading, you follow the instructions in the description box. And the ways in which you do that is there's the 2 options of a 10-minute reading, which is $25, or the question, which is $20. And you send it through to the link there below, and then you provide your birth information over there. And make sure you let me know your question if you're asking a question, okay? Okay, so what I might do is I might go ahead and get started with Joey's reading. And I just want to make sure with private. Hello, Ali. Welcome. Hello to you. Yes, I am doing well. Thank you. I hope you're doing well yourself. And thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you have found the content, the information to be helpful. And Naomi, yes. Will there be any improvements? I hear ya. Okay. All right. So I'm going to now show Joey's chart to get started. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to make the screen a bit bigger so I can Get it? And then we're going to set a timer. Okay, so this is a 10-minute reading for Joy. But Joy, if you're watching this, hi, thank you for booking. I'm not sure if you're in the audience or there, but it'll be here for you. Okay. Oh, actually, let me come out of there a second so I can have a better view. We want a better view. Okay. All right, so Joy, 10 minutes on the clock for you. Okay. So, Joy, what we see here is that you have a day chart because the sun, as you can see here, it is above the horizon. Now, the other thing about this is you're Leo, right? So meaning your sun is in Leo and the sun is home in the sign of Leo. So there seems to be some strength and power with respect to how you express yourself. I think a big part of your personality and even just how you project yourself to the world is that of self-expression and even coming across as relatively playful. And you're here to have a good time, right? There is this enjoyment that you seek. There's pleasure as well that you seek in this, I think. And you could very well be someone who comes across as the life of the party or as someone who's just here to have a good time. And the thing about this, I further want to add, is the fact that Venus is also in Leo. It's 0 degrees. It's in the Sun Deacon within Leo. So there's also this brightness, this passion that you present. And there is this playfulness, like I say, valuing being playful, but with the Venus trine Pluto retrograde and also making the trine to the ascendant in Sagittarius, there is this free-spirited quality to you. Of course, there is also intensity, and there is this real way that you leave an impression upon other people. I really see this as you sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with others in a way that perhaps unintentionally guides them. So there is that kind of big appeal that you have. I think you can be really very attractive, actually. It's almost like you're very magnetic. You draw people to you perhaps somewhat effortlessly. Then again, you could be someone who, there's the extremes, or there's this kind of love me, hate me type of attitude at times, where, maybe certain people can really be quite, taken aback or shocked by the ways in which you share information, right? There can be that intensity. You can almost bring out certain emotions within others. And again, it's unintentional. But here's the thing about this I also want to mention is because with you having a day chart, so this is what I was trying to say earlier, right? So you have the day chart. This then means that Mars would create a greater challenge for you within your chart. So Mars is in Cancer in the 8th house. And I think that this further adds to what I was suggesting a moment ago in terms of those strong feelings, right? Where perhaps people can be really taken aback, by your actions or by the ways in which you even share your emotions. But the thing is that with having Mars in the 8th house, this is where we're noticing the most sort of perhaps struggle for you, I think, in many ways, but also this is where we're noticing the amount of transformations that you go through with regard to your emotional well-being, your emotional needs, your emotional security in this respect. And I would even suggest here that you're someone who is, you're highly compassionate, and I think that you show a lot of empathy toward other people. I think you do have a certain amount of patience for others. We even further see this with you having the moon, which is the dispositor of Mars, the moon, and also Saturn in Taurus, right? So you have this very grounded, earth essential inner world. And I also see this as you being highly determined as a person as well, and just really committed. When there's a plan of action to put in place, you're like, right, okay, I'm going to follow it through. I'm going to commit. There's a great deal of responsibility on your end as well, I think. So there is that. So I think you have this side to of your personality that has a lot of patience, right? And you can kind of focus in on things a lot better. But then there's this other part of you, I think, that is a lot more subtle and unnoticeable at times, and maybe this is why you can be quite shocking to other people, because when your anger perhaps presents itself, when there is like this outburst, this emotional eruption, it can really, take people back, like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? But the thing is that maybe people don't realize just how much they push your buttons. But the other thing about it is you take a lot. This is what I'm noticing with you, is you take on so much. And we further see this with the fact that, okay, for one, Mars does create greater challenge because this is a day chart, but then also Mars is in its fall in Cancer. And so this can suggest that there can be some, this uncomfortability in terms of how it is that you assert yourself. But when you also throw into the mix the trine to Jupiter retrograde in Pisces, yes, Jupiter is home in the sign of Pisces, but this is where we're noticing this overpouring amount of emotion that can come. To me, it just sort of seems as if you can take on so much, right? And you can bottle up a lot. But then when it eventually does get to that breaking point or the boiling over point, it's like there's no going back. And maybe it's uncontrollable at that point. Now, what I kind of get from this is that perhaps it's especially family that can bring out these things within you, right? They can really trigger you. They can push your buttons. But I also see this as you being able to sort of turn this into a blessing, if you will, right? Being able to sort of use your sensitivity and your intense, deeper emotions to your benefit. So for example, healing and stepping into a profession, or following a certain path where in which, you can really help other people, right? You can act as this mentor, or where you can show up in sensitive, supportive ways for other people. Even thinking about following a path that includes spiritual sort of concepts and ideas, or diving into more sort of occult like esoteric subject matters and things like this, or even looking at psychology, right? Kind of even trying to understand why people do the things that they do. And you may have this about you, right? Mm, there's that curiosity, I think, with you, because there is that Pluto influence as well, on the ascendant. And then we also notice, of course, that you have so much energy in the ninth house, in Leo, with Mercury as well there too. So with Mercury retrograde, I think you have this way of being able to reflect on your own sort of inner world, right? I think when it comes to you, you're able to kind of take information in and process it more slowly, but then you can use what you learn and what you pick up from those wider kind of concepts and share, right? To deliver information. But I think, Joy, you are going to do it in such a creative way and in an entertaining way. You could be someone who's quite comical, right? You could sort of use comedy, but it's almost like, providing comedy in a way that's comes from a place that's so much more deeper than what other people expect, right? They just you get the lines, you get the jokes, you get the creativity. It's all there stored in your mind. But maybe other people don't really see the little nuances and the deeper layers, right? And what I even also want to say with this is you've got the midheaven in Libra, right? Of course, Venus would be the ruler of the midheaven as well in this case. So, with having the midheaven in Libra, of course, it's within that Venus deacon there too. I just want to add, I think that there's this big part of your life path and your journey and your mission where it is about, okay, people and audiences and wanting to collaborate, wanting to communicate and connect and relate, right? To explore new ideas and to exchange wisdom with other people and knowledge with other people. So even with Venus then being in the ninth house, I think that this looks at, okay, traveling, right? Traveling for meetings, traveling for events, thinking about event planning, for instance, thinking about stepping into roles that require you to be a mediator or require you to really take in multiple sort of perspectives and to be able to see, okay, where's the happy medium? What can we agree on? But again, Venus and Leo, I think it adds a layer of sass and enthusiasm. And I also think a big part of this is confidence, right? Being confident, being self-assured, being able to encourage other people. But yeah, I think that you exude so much confidence, and that mixed in with the Taurus energy, I feel is also being able to ground this energy in ways that are quite practical and useful, but also helpful toward other people, right? Because Moon and Saturn are also in the sixth house, and the sixth house is largely tied to service. And then, even just to connect this in with the North Node is in Virgo in the 10th house. And so I do feel as if the fact that the North Node is in this very big, high part of your chart, it's like, okay, you are really heading in a direction toward wanting to be of service. Okay, so that was for you, Joy. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Synergy. Thank you. Oh, I wish that was true. Thank you. Okay, so Joy, again, Joy, if you're not here, you'll catch it. And thank you so much for booking. Right, so we're moving on then to Healy. Healy's chart. Okay, just double checking. Okay. Okay, let's add that in. Right. See. Okay. All right. Okay, so Healy. Hi, Callie. Welcome, 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 welcome. And hi to all who are joining. Thank you so much for being here. So the ways in which you book a reading today, the instructions are in the description box. All right, so moving on to Healy. I'm just going to share the screen. My screen. Okay, so this is also going to be a 10-minute reading. Right, so Healy. Okay. Okay, so Healy, what I want to mention here is how, okay, so firstly, many of your personal planets are below the horizon. And what I kind of pick up on from this is you are someone who you can be quite introverted, or maybe it's that you require a great deal of alone time. Perhaps you're someone who really likes to focus on your creations, your projects, your hobbies. Maybe you also enjoy your own company quite a bit, maybe a little too much. Now, the reason for why I'm also saying this is because we notice here, Healy, that so the sun is there in the fifth house, and then also Mercury is in the fifth house as well as Venus. So, with these planets activating the fifth house, I think that this indicates how much you enjoy being creative and looking at art and beauty and being able to really use your mind as a way to be curious and to explore, to read, to learn, right? Maybe reading about different cultures and ways of life and being really curious and interested in music or media, technology. You see, you have a Gemini rising, right? And with having a Gemini rising, I think that there can be times when, you can be really quite engaging and chatty and social. But I also think that there are times when you do just prefer to sort of lay low. There can be like these two sides to you in this respect. And I also think that variety is the spice of life when it comes to you as well. But you see, when we kind of think about Mercury, Mercury is the chart ruler, Mercury's in Libra, and there's also that conjunction with the sun. So I do think that, you're someone who you do get curious about things that are beautiful and refined. I think that even the way that you communicate, it comes across as so calm and as perhaps sweet. And there is a sort of soothing way that you talk and express yourself as well. But just as much, you can be really quite upfront, I would even suggest, about certain things that you feel are unfair. It's like, this is unfair. I don't agree with this. This really annoys me. But then again, we also want to think about how there are these squares to Mars. So we see that Mercury and the Sun are making the square to Mars in Cancer. Of course, Mars is in its full in the sign of Cancer, but I think that this can suggest these frustrations and these tensions where perhaps you want to say the thing, but you're like, oh, I'm holding back from saying it. Because maybe you are thinking about, okay, sure, how it may influence or impact other people. So you do have that thing about you think, where you are actually still pretty other orientated. You sort of think about how the words that you say may influence or impact others, which I think is, quite a, beautiful kind of thing way of being. But I also think at the same time, there can be times when you bottle it up, right? And because you haven't really let out how you're feeling or what you want to, express in that moment, it can just get to a point where it boils over. Okay. So there is that. Now, what I also want to mention is that your moon is in Leo, right? So the moon, of course, being that dispositor of Mars, but then this suggests that the inner core of you, who, is really that of being expressive and quite upfront about how you feel. But I just think that there's sort of like a mix in this, right? There's a bit of a conflict, there's a bit of a hesitation at times, maybe because you don't want to rock the boat, or maybe because you don't want to settle. Or you don't want to shake up things too much. And even thinking about how you appear, how you look within the moment as well. Maybe as well, it's like you just don't want to give people the time of day. But anyway, I also want to mention that Venus, okay, so Venus is home in Libra. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, if you have something very creative, artistic that you enjoy, that you do maybe every day or consistently, or maybe that you need in order to feel somewhat settled and secure within yourself. Because, of course, Venus is making that sextile to the moon as well in Leo. So I think for you, you need like a healthy creative outlet, whether this be through communication, thinking about writing, or whether this be through maybe reporting or media in some way, or even thinking about music or using your hands. Songwriting could be a big thing here. We even see here that the midheaven is in Pisces. So with the midheaven in Pisces, it could very well be that your life's direction, your life's path is that of, okay, you're moving towards something that is more artistic and creative and perhaps romantic. Maybe you do tend to romanticize the type of path that you're on as well. That could be another thing. And maybe there has been some sort of confusion over the path to take in life, and like what I want to be, where I want to head toward. Maybe for you, the kind of outside world, in terms of like status and career and success and all this stuff, it's a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure. I just want to be free. I just want to explore. I just want to indulge in things that make me happy and bring me joy. And do you know what? The other thing about it too is you could very well have children, or it could be that you seek to become a parent. That could be another thing with the fifth house influence there. And even with Jupiter being in Virgo in the fourth house, plus the fact that you have the North Node in Sagittarius, there could be more elements tied to property or housing, thinking about home and family and the values that you have there. And the amount of, fulfillment that you get, emotional fulfillment from being around family and loved ones, and how those types of experiences and relationships, they fill your cup, right? They fill you up, they bring you joy, they make you feel good. Now, let's sort of think as well about the fact that, so this is a night chart, so the sun is below the horizon. And then we also want to explore Saturn a little bit, because Saturn is going to create the most challenge. So you actually have Saturn retrograde in Aquarius there in the ninth house. And then, I would possibly even put this square into Pluto a little bit. But what we're sort of getting from this is that there seems to be some hardships, limitations, things to overcome, obstacles to overcome when it comes to your beliefs, when it comes to perhaps specifically your religious beliefs or your higher meaning, thinking about these questions of, why am I here? What is existence? What does this all mean? What is life? But here's the thing, the North Node is also in Sagittarius, right? And this Sagittarius energy is very much about, okay, what is my meaning? Looking at the philosophical ideals that you have, or the ways in which you live your life based on philosophy. And then even the second progress Venus has moved into the seventh house as well. So to me, in Sagittarius, by the way, to me, it almost seems as if it's three other people that have really opened you up to a whole new world, or a whole new sort of reality or way of viewing things. I think it's through your relationships, whether this be, a partner or a friend or a business colleague, whatever have you. I think that these people have really inspired you and have opened you up so much. And, you have went through your first Saturn return, and that's been over the past few years. I even think, over the past few years, especially, you have been sort of pushing more toward these bigger questions, right? And questioning why it is that you're here and what your meaning is and what you want out of life. And, actually taking your time to consider these bigger questions, right? Because the Aquarius energy, I think it does look at questioning, it does look at investigating, even with, like I said, I think I would view it as a bit of a square there. Pluto and Scorpio can also highlight the, oh, what I want to do for work. What about my job? Or what about my health? What about my routines and my schedules? How does that all fit into the bigger purpose? So we're noticing, I think, some, like this existential dread or crises, or like I can't quite seem to find the path, right? And so maybe over the past few years, you've been trying to sort of manage all this, right? You've been trying to address all of these questions, which can be quite polarizing, right? Because it's like, which way, which way, which way? And we even see here with the transit of Saturn. Okay, so Saturn is transiting your 10th house right now, and will do so for the next few years. This, I feel, would be quite, let me finish that. it will be quite beneficial for you, because I think that Saturn influence is going to help you bring some sort of structure and form to what it is that you wish to do long term. And I think a lot of that has to do more with, for example, like I said earlier, things that are somewhat more creative, artistic, possibly helping other people, right? Within a empathetic, supportive role, being quite caring toward others. Or possibly this is more so looking at the types of support and care that you show toward family and home and all these things, being quite charitable, being quite hospitable, because of course Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, and that is in Virgo in the 4th house. Okay. So that was yours, Healy. Thank you so much for booking. Thank you. And AK, we're moving on to yours. Hello. So let's see. Healy, you said already on point. Okay. You resonated with it. Well, do you know what? I hope that you find it to be helpful. I really do. And thank you for booking again. Jimmy, hi, hello, welcome. So the ways in which you can book a reading with me, the instructions are in the description. Good. I'm so glad that you find it to be accurate. Thank you for your feedback as well. It's good to get feedback, and I'm glad, excuse me, I'm glad that you find it to be helpful too. All right, so moving on to AK. Oh, sorry. Do I have the hiccups now? Really? Okay. Whew. All right. Let's see. So this is for AK. Excuse me. Okay. Just going to share my screen. Hi, Amy. Oh, awesome. Yay, thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for watching, for tuning in. I'm so glad that you've been learning. Great to hear it. That's great, Amy. Hi, Teresa. Welcome to you. Triple Gemini. Woohoo. Welcome. Yeah, I hope you're doing good. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. AK, this will be your chart. And this is to answer your question. Oh, there we go. Got it. All right. So, AK. So, AK, you were asking about how to attract compatible partner, habit of attracting deceptive partners. You've been single for years. Okay, you're looking for a partner. Right. I actually need to do a couple of things right now to help with this. If you just give me a quick moment, or a short moment, should I say. Let me see. So Venus. Okay. All right, let's grab that actually. So it's 2024. Ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, bum. 2023. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, maybe grab that. All right. So, AK, you want to know about relationships, basically, and you're looking for a partner. Right. So what I wanted to do was I really wanted to kind of assess, these qualities that you brought up. And whenever we look to, okay, so firstly, I wanted to look at the solar return chart for you this year. And so this solar return chart that I'm about to mention, it has been in effect from your birthday. So I'm obviously not going to say when that is, but it's been in effect since your birthday. And what has come up then for you this year is, so we noticed that Venus is retrograde in this particular solar return chart in Leo, and it's also in the 8th house. And then on top of that, there is this, so we noticed that there's Cancer in the 7th house, along with Moon being the ruler of the 7th in Scorpio. And then there's these squares, right, to the Leo energy. So this is, I think, is where we're noticing the power struggles. This is where we're noticing emotionally manipulative tactics. And the other thing I want to mention is the fact that there was the Venus retrograde, which took place. So it took place between, I think it was around the end of July coming into September. So it was pretty much during the summer of 2023. So that Venus retrograde would have made, it would have hit or conjunct that Leo energy in your chart. So, yeah, we are noticing here that perhaps around that time it was particularly triggering or very sensitive. And we also want to think about how that retrograde would have made squares to the moon in Scorpio, because of course your natal moon is in Scorpio, right? And the thing about this I want to say is you feel things very, very deeply, right? With Scorpio energy, it's so much about that depth and going beyond just the surface level, going beyond what is seen as superficial or seen as more showy, if you will. This is more about getting to the root or to the heart of a matter. And this is about intimacy. But the thing I feel is important for you, AK, is to establish trust, is to establish a meaningful bond. Even when we think about how Venus in your natal chart, it's in Gemini and it's in the 8th house. So there is that emotional connection, that closeness that you're craving. But again, I think that the Venus retrograde last year could have, suggested a possible breakup, for example, or it could have resulted in matters having to be looked at again, relationship matters, and even thinking about your heart, right? How your heart has been impacted, thinking about heartache, for instance. But that moon in Scorpio energy, it's like, oh my goodness, there's the all or nothing. With Scorpio, there's the intensity, there's the going to extremes. So it's an interesting one to kind of think about where you're coming from. And I think that that's a useful thing to keep in mind. But here is the thing I want to mention for now. So with you, oh, okay. So how else do I say this? Because I want to obviously keep things private for you. Let's just put it this way. Relationships seems to be a big focus for you this year. Okay. And what we kind of want to do is we want to follow the path of Venus whilst, you are going through this year up, up until your next birthday. And Venus currently, let's think about current times. It has just entered Aquarius. So we have Venus in Aquarius conjunct Pluto, as well as Mars. So we've got Mars and Venus and Pluto in this conjunction. They're not the same degrees, but they're still quite close together. So what does this indicate? Well, this is happening in the 4th house for you. So a lot of this has to do with your emotional needs, your emotional well-being, and security. And so I think a lot of this is about more so bringing it back to the self, okay? Bringing it back to your own sort of healing and recognizing what feelings are coming up for you, and moving forward too, having clarity, gaining some type of freedom about the next step or hope, right? Aquarius is so much about hope. And the other thing I want to mention with this is being able to see what can be changed, right? You said in your question about this is a habit, right? This is a habit for you. And it is interesting because even with Taurus being in the 7th, Taurus is a habitual sign, right? Taurus is so routine. Taurus is like, this is familiar, this is familiar, this is safe, this is familiar. But then again, Uranus and Jupiter are transiting your 7th house right now. And there's also going to be an opposition between these planets and Pluto in April. So it's going to happen around April time. This, I think, is going to be particularly eye-opening. It's almost like a flash, or it's almost like a sudden realization about, oh, right, okay, so this is the habit that I'm so ready to move on from, and I want to let go of this. But here's the other thing about it is this is already starting to unfold. We're building up to this conjunction. I'm actually going to make a video about the conjunction soon, but we're kind of building up to it. And so I think in your case, when we look to how there's the planets in Aquarius right now in the 4th, I think that this is a good time to really reevaluate or to kind of go within. And at the same time, we're going to see here how there's going to be oppositions to that Chiron energy for you. So I would even just say over the next while to be kind to yourself, to be gentle, to really focus on any healing that you're doing, even thinking about the heart and any heartbreak and this type of stuff. And like I said, the habits. This, I feel, invites the breaking away of old habits. This is a time period for this. And the reason why I'm saying this is because Aquarius is this energy that says, I want to innovate. I want to try something new. I'm going to break the pattern. I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to break this habit. And 4th house energy is an emotional cycle. It shows us our emotional patterns. It's unconscious. Yes. But this is also where, change can happen. We even see, Mike, we even see that this energy is opposing the sun for you. So yes, are these changes up ahead going to be, or are they going to require some hard truths? Yeah. May you be stubborn? May you hold on to what is familiar and comfortable for you? Yeah. But I think that if it is that you wish to change certain patterns and habits within your relationships, I think there is an element of it where it's like, okay, well, what are you willing to tolerate? Okay. And how can you change your views or change the ways in which you approach relationships? And just one more thing is the fact that then by the next solar return. I'm not going to say when your birthday is, you know when that is. But by your next birthday, AK, the interesting thing about that will be how Sagittarius will be in the 7th for you. So I think that this is looking at more like a fresh perspective, okay? Seeing the bigger picture, even greater hope, greater optimism with respect to relationships. Okay, so there's so much more I could say. There is, but I have to move on. Thank you so much, AK. Thank you. I hope you find it to be helpful. Okay. So we also have, okay, number 6. Number 6. Let's see. We've got Rhonda. Thank you so much for booking, Rhonda. And also, I want to say welcome to those who've joined. Thank you for being here. Rhonda, if you're there, if you're in the audience, I need your birth information. I need your time of birth, place of birth, date of birth. It's up to you. If you want to send it via email, you can. hannahselsewhere@outlook.com, or you can put it in the chat. Completely up to you. It is your choice. But yes, that's going to be a 10-minute reading then for you. So we're going to move on to Naomi. So we're going to look at your question, Naomi. Okay. Thank you so much to AK if you're there. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. I would love to visit Texas. I would love to visit Texas and Nashville. Yeah, I would. Okay, we also. Oh. Okay. Rhonda, thank you so much. Let me just check. Okay, thank you so much, Rhonda. And let me see. So just to let you know, Rhonda, you've sent me through 2 payments, so I will refund you the other payment without your birth information. I will refund you that afterwards, okay? I need to do it on my computer. But yeah, thank you for booking. Right. So Naomi, I'm entering in your information. I'm finishing. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Let's see. You want to know about good news for career and improvements. All right, got it. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. Hi to DE Harp. You can still sign up. So I have 2 more slots available. 2 more. 2 more slots available for this session tonight. So yeah. And the instructions are in the description box. So Rhonda, thank you for sending through your information. Yeah, so it is $25 for a 10-minute reading, or it is $20 for a question. But yeah, so we're moving on to Naomi's question now. Okay. So I just need to look up a couple of timing techniques for yours, Naomi. Oh, oh, that's okay. So let me see. Oh, actually, hold on. Sorry, give me a second, just a second. It's not the. You just select a different chart. I was on your solar return chart there. Oh, Jerica. So PayPal is the only option at the moment, anyway. But yes, it is the only option. Let me come out of here, here, and here, so then I can get yours, Naomi. And then I want to look up a couple of timing techniques as well for yours. There we go. Much better. 89. Okay, great. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, so Naomi, you wanted to know about career improvements. Any good news? Just gonna pull up a couple of things for yours so I can see better. And then let's see. Right, so the first thing to mention for you, Naomi, is the fact that Pluto right now has just entered Aquarius, and so Pluto is transiting the 10th house for you, and so it's basically joining up with Mercury very closely at the moment. You've got Mercury retrograde there in Aquarius in the 10th house. So what could very well be unfolding for you then are these bigger, questions about the future, about where you see yourself in terms of career, in terms of your achievement, accomplishment. Maybe what you're in a way seeking or craving is that of doing something that's worth noticing or doing something that's really going to pay off, right? It's worthwhile. Oh, sorry. I'm going to stay with that. Okay, don't worry. I'm still staying with that. Oh, what's happening? Sorry, I'm still staying with that, Naomi. I just want to edit this event because 2 other people have booked, and then that's going to be us for this evening. Thank you so much. The readings are closed. Okay. We're fully booked. We are fully booked. I just wanted to put that in. So stay with me, Naomi. Stay with me. See. But yes, I think that with Pluto transiting the 10th house, it's saying, okay, you're in a role, a position that's actually impactful, right? Something that changes society or reshapes the world in some way, shape, or form, right? And so I think that you're at a point where it's like you're wanting more, right? You're wanting more, you're wanting something different, you're seeking something new and perhaps really very innovative. And the other thing I want to say with this is these changes are further shown via the fact that Venus, which is your chart ruler, by the way, Venus has just entered Aquarius, or will enter Aquarius today. But that is going to then join up with your Aquarius planets. And Venus is so much about value and materials and security, right? I think that your physical security is very much on your mind, right? And I think that there's all of these new sort of ways that you are seeking security, or you're kind of exploring, what else could you try? What else could you do? And maybe you're sort of getting bored in a way of doing the same old thing over a really long period of time. Or it's that, you're seeking something that is more rewarding. It's more rewarding. It's more fulfilling. It suits your needs a lot better. And you can see, right? You can clearly see the fruits of your labor as well. See, here's the thing about it too, Naomi. You are experiencing your Jupiter return. Well, your Jupiter return is going to be a lot more potent, coming up toward more, I would say, the end of April. Okay. This is when Jupiter will return to its natal position within your chart, and you have Jupiter in Taurus and it's on the ascendant. So, I do see this as new opportunities upon the horizon, right? I see this as something that is a lot more rewarding and fulfilling for you. And the other thing to even throw into this is the conjunction, right? The Uranus Jupiter conjunction that's going to happen in your first house on the 20th of April, 20th, 21st of April, around that time. So that's going to be quite impactful for you. Then you even throw into the mix, impactful in the ways, by the way, to do with your life path, your ambitions, your successes, your direction. But even to throw into this, the fact that this energy is going to make a lovely, beautiful trine with Venus, right? So Venus is at 21 degrees in Capricorn. Even the secondary progressed moon right now is in Capricorn for you. So there is a lot of this inner reflection about success and status and growth and improvement and everything. But I think a lot of this then has to do with training, right? Maybe taking on some sort of advanced training program, or adding to your credentials, adding to your skills already, or even, do you know what? Being paid, the earnings, the money that you have, that's worth basically what you have done, that's worth the studies and the dedication that you've put in, the time that you've put in. I think, Naomi, this is a big time period coming up, which is, of course, this energy is starting to build momentum as we're coming up to this conjunction around April time. But I think this is a time period where you're really starting to question, your worth and what your skills are, and how actually with Venus and Capricorn, this suggests that when it comes to your skills, you build upon them. You build upon them steadily and slowly and gradually, and you're mature about them. You try your very best to be wise and to be productive and to be efficient. And I think that this highlights just expertise, right? And the other thing about it is the fact that you have Venus in Aquarius. So the sun is in the 10th house, so that sun in the 10th house energy says, yes, I mean business here. I I'm showing up here. I'm seeking some type of recognition for what I'm doing and for the changes that I'm making. So I really feel as if for you, a lot of this has to do with worth. Now, the other thing, of course, to mention is the fact that Pluto is going to make that square. Well, it is making a square to Mars in Taurus in the first house for you. So maybe there's some power struggles, right? There's some resistance, especially with respect to members of authority, managers, bosses, maybe parental figures, or people who are more professional, right? But you're sort of like, I see through you. I don't agree with that. I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to question that. So I think that this is it's a time period where you're really stepping up and you're evolving in this way. Okay, so even just to add to that as well, I just want to mention for you, Naomi, I want to mention the fact that so the solar return for you this year, okay, so that has been drawn because I know that your birthday was recently. Hope you had a lovely birthday, by the way. It was on the 27th of January. But this means that in the solar return chart, and there is more information here, so we think about how Scorpio is on the ascendant in this particular solar return chart, and you have Scorpio in the 7th house in your natal chart. So I think there is something here about you stepping into positions of power with respect to business, essentially. So that's an interesting one. Plus Mars, which would be the chart ruler for this Scorpio rising year. Mars is in Capricorn and it's also there with Mercury. So it's almost like this energy of you mean what you say. You do mean business. And it's also about having quite clearly the written credentials and the skills, and even stepping into a position where you are a boss or a manager, or you are in a role where there is a great deal of dedication required on your part. Okay, so that was for yours, Naomi. And I'm sorry about, when I entered into it, it was like, there's other readings. But yes, I'm glad that we got to finish with that. Yeah, thank you so much, Naomi, for booking today. Thank you. Right, so we have, just to let you know, thank you so much to all who have booked. Yes. Yeah. Rhonda, just want to say no problem. I've got that. So I'm going to refund you the first payment that doesn't have your birth information in it. Thank you so much. Got that successfully. And so we've got Amanda who's up next. Then we have Rhonda. Then we have Amy who has booked. And lastly, we've got, is it Deidria? Deidria? I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If I do mispronounce names, I apologize. But yes, we've got you booked in, and yours is a question. Right, so if I just put the information down, Amy is your 10 minutes. Okay. Can I please ask Amy? Let me see. Let me see. I just need to read through your comments. Oh, I've got it. Got it, Amy. I've got your date of birth. Yeah. And you've just sent through your location and time of birth. Okay, great. Thank you. I was just about to ask. And Naomi, you said come to Texas in the spring too. Oh, it's too hot in the summer. Oh, yes, yes. Okay. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to cope with the heat. Oh, thank you for the heads up. And Rhonda. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you so much, Rhonda. Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. And Deidria, I need to ask, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? I need your question. What is your question? I'm just getting your information here. Okay, I've got, yeah, Deidria, that's the question. Yes, I just need your question for the reading so I can answer it. And then Amy got yours successfully. Great. And then we have Amanda next. Rhonda after. Yeah, so I've got everybody here. Great stuff. Thank you for being here on this lovely Friday evening, everyone. Okay, so let's enter information. And then, yeah, just waiting on your question, Deidria. Just let me know. All right. Uh-huh. I am. Yeah. Um, yeah. So, what should you focus on for the next 2 years? You want to know, Amanda? Okay, we'll have a look. Just need to get a few different timing techniques ready. Um, you know what? Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing with composite charts is, see, when you book a reading with me, I do prefer it if the other person who, you're checking the composite or, the relationship with, I prefer if that person was in the know about it. So, you know what I mean? That they know, that they're aware. So that's the only thing I would want to say about composite and synastry. Right. So let's see. This is for Amanda. Just getting your information, Amanda. Do you know, and I have actually been thinking, do you know, is it dragonic charts? Where you look at like the soul's mission? I would be curious to know, would you be interested in a chart reading like that? That could be a fun session. Let me know. Would you like a session like that where we talk about the dragonic charts? That would be pretty cool. Okay, so just grabbing yours, Amanda. See if... Oh, that's good, Naomi. I'm so glad. I'm glad. Okay, so Amanda, we have your chart here, and I'm just gonna grab a couple of different timing techniques. Let's see. Right, bring that over there. And then, so yeah, progressions. Should I double check? Yeah. And then transits. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Oh, so let me ask. Deetria, is that you asking about the job question? Because I am looking for Deetria for the question, because you sent through payment for to have a question answered, and I'm just wondering, is that you asking about the job? Is that your reply? Thank you for your patience, everyone. But yes, we're gonna move on to Amanda next. Oh, okay, we got you. Okay. Your question is, okay, I'm just gonna take note of your question. So I have it. Okay. Lovely. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so Amanda. Right, let's get my timer. Rightio. So Amanda, you want to know what should you focus on for the next 2 years? Okay. So for the next 2 years. Right. I'm going to try my best and get the information for 2 years here for you. All right, so I'm going to set the timer. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing with this, Amanda, is the fact that Saturn is transiting your 6th house. And this, of course, has been happening since last year. And it will continue to happen for the next 2 years or so. So there is a lot happening here with respect to work growth, with respect to health-related issues or concerns, thinking about any significant structures and foundations that you wish to put in place as well when it comes to your health and your well-being. And this is an important one because the North Node is there in Pisces in the 6th house for you, and then the South Node is in Virgo. So it does appear as if your life path and your direction is that of, okay, looking at establishing, greater healing principles, or looking at healing practices, thinking about spiritual practices as well, implementing them into your everyday life. But Saturn, I feel, is a big part of the structure element. Okay. Saturn, I feel, is a big part of the, okay, it's time to get serious here. It's time to really focus in on what you wish to build long term, thinking about long-term success. Also, I would even suggest with this one, considering where you really see things headed, and looking at long-lasting results. What can you put in place so that results are more stable in this respect? But here's the other thing. Neptune is transiting your sixth house as well, and you have your moon in Pisces, and Neptune is right there conjunct the moon. So I would even suggest with this one, Amanda, that many emotions have just been pouring out of you. You've been really influenced by coworkers, or by just daily matters, daily habits, and things where perhaps there have been moments of, this is too overwhelming, this is too much, or maybe you've kind of realized where you need to step back a little bit, right? Where you need to kind of go, this is where I'm at and that's where you're at, right? So some sort of healthy boundaries in this way, which I feel Saturn can really assist you and really support you with this as well. So I think that this within itself is quite an important area of life to focus on, or it will be something that will keep coming up and coming up over the next few years for you. So I think many maturity lessons in this regard, okay? And even looking toward how such matters are tied in with work and tied in with your services. I do feel as if you're someone who, you like to be of service, you like to show compassion and empathy and remorse and sympathy toward others. Maybe it is that your occupation requires you to be somewhat compassionate or to have that emotional intelligence. But here's the other thing. Your sun is in Libra, right? You also have a Libra rising. So this energy to me indicates that you're very much a people person. Okay? You're someone who can really identify certain themes and patterns that are going on, within relationships, amongst other people, and you can sort of maneuver things, right? You can shift things in such a way where you can be there, right? You can be there to support, you can be there to guide, to assist. But I think it is about how you relate. What is the back and forth? What is the exchange in this regard? Even the sun and the ascendant are within that Venus decan within Libra. So there's just this elegance, I think, towards you, about you. Rather, you can be really quite elegant in how you come across and really quite sweet. And I do think that you tend to leave a really positive, friendly, charming influence. You impact other people in this way. Basically, you're remembered as this charming person, as the one who is willing to help other people out, or to make them happy. I think you want to see other people happy. And we even further see this through the chart ruler, right? So your chart ruler is Venus, and that's in Leo. So I feel as if, especially being in the 11th house, you tend to be this big beaming, shining ball of light and kindness and fun and entertainment. You can perform in a way, perhaps not in an intentional way, but I just think that you just have this confidence about you. I think you are able to really make a positive impression on other people, and maybe people really, they love being around you, right? We even see this with Mars making that beautiful sextile to Jupiter as well in the chart. So this actually leads me on to Jupiter, because that's another thing. Of course, you asked about, what should I focus on for the next 2 years? Well, here's good news for you, Amanda. Your Jupiter return is coming up. It's coming up very, very soon, right? So Jupiter is going to enter Gemini. This is going to be around June of this year, and it will be in the sign of Gemini for the next year or so. So, with Jupiter being in Gemini and even in the ninth house, I feel as if this could very well highlight some traveling, introducing yourself to new people, and really getting out there, right? Exploring, expanding your horizons, right? Even being somewhat more curious about the world around you, or even getting into different sort of social situations where you are exchanging ideas. And there is this appeal, I think there is this curiosity, right? This curiosity toward wanting to learn something new or wanting to expand on the things that you already know, and even just drawing connections from what it is that you know. And with Jupiter even being in that Mercury decan as well, this further even adds to this part of you that will seek to communicate more so. And even Jupiter making the trine to the ascendant and to the sun. Yeah, I think what's upon the horizon for you, or what's coming up for you, is that of really being quite social. This could be a highly social time for you coming up. Okay, so let me also explore. So I want to think about, let's see. So the solar return, that has been in effect since your birthday. All right. So we even see here that with the solar return, you have this Cancer rising, and then you also have the Mars in Cancer along with the Moon in Cancer. So if we kind of bring it back to the natal chart then, and we think about how you have the midheaven and Chiron in Cancer in the 10th house, this could very well be a year for you where there is more of a focus on purpose, establishing yourself in the world, maybe even looking more toward or focusing more on nurturing like qualities, supportive like qualities, and even considering here what the next step is, because that could be actually a thing where there's some uncertainty there, or there's some fears or some insecurities, sort of coming up to the surface in terms of what is the next step. And the other thing about this is eclipses are happening within your 7th and 1st houses. So these eclipses then essentially square the 10th and the 4th house. So what does this indicate? This indicates that significant new changes are coming up here, and they are unfolding already for you, Amanda, when it comes to things like your identity, your life path, your long-term goals, your achievements, your accomplishments, what you want from relationships. Any sort of significant shifts and changes here are coming up here with respect to relationships in these areas, even thinking about home and family and security. So these big pillars of your life, I guess, so thinking about home, career, relationships, your goals, these big pillars of your life are really being activated and they're being challenged. And we're further going to see this as well as this year unfolds for you. And of course, the eclipses, I just want to say, things are going to continue to unfold for at least another year, because we're going to have the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse in Aries and Libra coming up to April time of this year. Then we're also going to have another eclipse in Libra by around September, October time. Then next year, there's also going to be eclipses within this axis. So yeah, I would say that with eclipses, it's like, okay, take notice of these new changes and opportunities, especially when it comes to how it is that you project yourself outwardly, how you approach relationships, how it is that you even take charge within relationships. Because Mars is there in Aries and it's in the 7th house. So maybe there's even something about the unconscious coming up, about the shadow here, when it comes to being assertive, when it comes to initiating. And even on that note, you've got the North Node, which has been transiting the 7th house for you and will continue to do so all the way up until the very end of the year. Even with Chiron, a more frequent or a more current event. Let me just finish that. A more up-to-date event is unfolding here because Chiron is conjunct the North Node. So I would say that there's a lot of healing that's happening here when it comes to how you approach relationships, what you sort of want from relationships, and thinking about these themes to do with being courageous and brave, right? You even have Mars there in Aries, like I said, and Mars is home in Aries as well. But just to finish this off, we're also going to be opening up a new set of eclipses this year. So Pisces and Virgo, they're up next. We're going to experience a lunar eclipse in Pisces around September. I would need to double check just the degrees of that one because you do have Pisces placements. But that could be worth noting, okay? When we think about the whole service stuff, when we think about the whole work, okay, routine, health, all these sort of areas, coworker relationships, these things that I mentioned earlier, the eclipses I feel are going to really come along, and it's almost like an activation point where there are going to be significant shifts and changes up ahead. Okay, Amanda, so let me just double check I want to double check the degrees of that eclipse actually, so I can give it to you, see if it's any real significance in terms of your placements. Let me just look. Where are we? Okay, so it's going to be 25 degrees. That's going to be a 25-degree lunar eclipse. So yeah, that's pretty much going to happen on your moon. So yeah, just to let you know. There'll be more information, of course, coming up to do with eclipses closer to the time, but that is yours. Amanda, thank you so much for booking. Right, so Rhonda, let's do it. Okay. I get so many readings from people who have Scorpio risings. I feel as if that is the rising sign that I get the most. Yep. And I think it makes sense, to be fair. I think it does. I think there's a deep fascination that Scorpio risings have, with exploring matters that are not so mainstream, let's just say. I think there's an interest in the whole meanings and symbolism behind astrology, even just diving into the psyche, wanting to know why you do the things you do, right? Scorpio being the investigator, the psychologist, the detective. Right, so Rhonda, let me just share my screen. So this session, it's a reading session, Kelsey. But thank you for showing an interest, though. And I do want to say thank you so much to all who have booked today. Thank you for even tuning in, if you're tuning in. Okay, if you're even just interested. How does an astrologer read a chart? What happens there? What goes on there? Okay, so I'm just going to get a few different timing techniques here for you, Rhonda. I want to... Okay, so you don't have a question, but I still wanna look up a couple of timings here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to set the timer now for yours, Rhonda, and we shall read your chart. All right. Okay, so the first thing, of course, the first thing that's jumping out at me here, Rhonda, is the fact that you have so much Scorpio energy, right? Heavy Scorpio, Scorpio dominant. So you've got the ascendant there, you've got Mercury and Venus and Neptune. So to me, what this indicates is that you're someone who you go beyond what is seen, what is visible. And I think that from a very, very young age, you have been like this. I think that especially, during your younger years, whenever you were growing up, there was always this like fascination, this curiosity toward matters that were more hidden and unseen, especially with Neptune also being there in Scorpio, conjunct Venus. I think that this suggests some type of psychic abilities, or maybe having experiences with ghosts or matters that are quite paranormal, or feeling like you can see into the other side, so to speak. And maybe as well, this is indicating how there's a love, right? There's a love for things that are pretty esoteric or otherworldly and spiritual too. Even Mercury, right? So Mercury is there in Scorpio, and it's indicating that you just have this deep mind, right? You have this investigative mind. You are able to even suss out situations and environments. Maybe whenever you do enter into new environments, you're someone who you prefer to sort of just take your time and kind of see, okay, like who can you connect with, who can you relate to, who should you avoid. You can read the room. This is what I'm getting from this energy, is you're very good at sort of picking up on other people's sort of energies, and kind of sussing out whether or not you are aligned in this way. Now, at the same time, I also see this as you perhaps stepping into certain situations where there's been betrayal, thinking especially about certain friendships or even organizations or bigger sort of groups that you've been a part of, even thinking about work and career and stuff like this. I think that there has been certain betrayals or power struggles that have played out. And the reason for why I'm saying this is because the midheaven is in Virgo, and then Pluto is also there conjunct the midheaven. So I do see this as you taking on, positions where you've been asked to really step up, to level up, to improve. I even just see this as you being a real manager, or like someone who can manage a team effectively and knowing how to do the job correctly. This is the type of view that I have when I look at these placements of yours. And at the same time, we're also noticing how you've experienced possible transformations or renewals or power struggles, or times when it has maybe become too much, right? There's been limitations in this way, or frustrations or hardships as well. And even if we were to think about the beginning stages of your life again, and we think about even the neighborhood that you sort of grew up in, or the type of family that you were born into, you've got Saturn in Capricorn. So, firstly, what we sort of see from this, possible limitations, restrictive relationships with siblings, or this could very well be where you were the one who had to look after siblings. Maybe you were the oldest, for instance, or maybe you had to grow up really, really quickly in order to support your family, to support your siblings in this way. We also further see here that perhaps you had a father, or a father influence in your life, who really taught you so much about dedication. That he taught you so much about how to manage your time effectively, how to communicate in a really mature, sort of matter of fact way where you could strongly get your message across. Interesting, I think. But yeah, I think that your father or father influence really shaped you in this regard, especially when it came to communication. And we're also noticing here possible fears, or sort of rigid tendencies with respect to your local area. Maybe it is that you've struggled with some type of fear about where to go or who to be around, the types of people you should avoid, this type of stuff, because Saturn, can suggest this restrictive energy. Then there's the sextile to the ascendant as well. And so we are sort of noticing these possible power struggles in this respect. But here's the other thing I want to mention. Your sun is in Sagittarius, right? So you were born pretty much around the first day of Sagittarius. I think it was the first day because it's 0 degrees. But anyway, Sagittarius here with Mars also in Sagittarius. And then Mars, of course, is the chart ruler for you. So this actually indicates that whilst you have a lot of this emotional intensity to you and this sensitivity to you as well, which can be used to your strength and to your benefit for a good, for good reason, there's also the other side of you, I think, or a big part of your life that is very much about exploration and being somewhat wild and free and possibly argumentative, right? Possibly being able to confront people. I see this as you not being afraid to sort of just say the thing or do the thing, or to call someone out, to call someone out on their crappy behavior, and we even see how there's some frustrations and some conflict to do with friendships and to do with the team stuff, the group stuff that we were mentioning earlier. The reason why I'm saying this is because there's the squares then. So Uranus is actually making that square to the Sun and Mars in Sagittarius. So we're noticing then some backlash. We're noticing here some moments of surprise or shock, possibly because you have wanted to break free, right? You've kind of gotten to a stage where you've thought, this is not aligned with me, this does not suit me. And you can kind of just see through what is no longer serving of your energy, of your time, of your attention. But I even see this as you being a strong, how do I say, ambitious, self-reliant person, okay? Because Mars and Sun in the second house of earnings and wealth, right? To me, it's almost like what you have sought after throughout your life, Rhonda, is that of financial freedom, is that of being somewhat independent, right? Being independent when it comes to the things that you wish to earn, your materials, your physical security, this type of stuff. And you know what, as well, a lot of this is driven by strong belief, right? Belief in the path, belief in the next step. And Jupiter being the dispositor of the Sun and Mars there in Sagittarius, that is in Aquarius. And there's the sextiles happening then between Jupiter and these planets. So Jupiter is there and it's in Aquarius in the fourth house. So this is very much an innovative type of energy. This is the type of energy that sees into the future, very future orientated. That mixed in with the Sagittarius, very aspirational. Whenever you have a dream, whenever you have a goal in mind, you're someone, you set your eye on the prize and you're like, okay, I believe in it with everything in me. I believe in it wholeheartedly. And that is a big part of your success, I feel. A big part of the reason for why you do so well is because you take those opportunities, you find them, you seek after them, right? You're like, oh, I can see that. And the other thing about it is connections, right? It's like, oh, I was talking to this person, I was talking to that person, and you are able to, be in the know when it comes to certain opportunities because of the type of, communities you're a part of, the types of teams you join, etc., etc. You even have the South Node there in Aquarius as well. So you seem to have a gift, if you will, when it comes to seeing those bigger sort of connections within people, places, and things, and how that is a big sort of supportive factor behind your successes and your achievements. But here's the other thing about this is you do have your moon in Gemini, right? So this moon in Gemini mixed with the Sagittarius energy, it's like, oh, okay, I can strike up a conversation with that person. Oh, okay, we can get into that. And I think that you're very smart. I just think you're very good at the same time reading other people, seeing the deeper layers, but then also being able to see those connections. I just think this to me seems as if you're always ahead of the game, Rhonda. You're always ahead of it. And I think that is a big reason for why you push forward and why you're able to get ahead within certain situations. And there's power in this, right? There's power in this energy. I mean, so much Scorpio can really indicate that, you know, you have been in some super powerful situations where you've had to be a leader, where you've had to be strong, you've had to take charge. Even Mars in Sagittarius, this fire sign, it's like, yes, I'm energetic. Yes, I have the passion. There's so much enthusiasm here driving you forward. That's the timer. But I just want to finish off, Rhonda, by saying the North Node then is in Leo. So that path for you, that journey for you, I think has been so much about you stepping into a position in which, you know, you are a leader, or in which you are the one who is driving or running the show, perhaps stepping into a position in which, you know, you're really seen and you're recognized for your leadership abilities. Even the North Node is in that Mars decan within Leo. Okay, so Rhonda, that was yours. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Yes, the sexuality tied to Scorpio, indeed. Right, so thank you so much, Rhonda. That was yours. And then we're going to get into Amy's reading. Okay. All right. Um, okay, so I'm just going to I'm going to share my screen here, Amy. To show your chart. Oh, what happened? I came out of it. How did I do that? I don't even remember. It's okay. We get it again. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pull a couple of timing techniques. All right, so you want to know about big transits. Uranus is going to be over your North Node. It is indeed. And Pluto in the 9th. All right, let me just check a couple of dates here, okay? Get back to you in a minute. And let's see here. 2025. October, go right that time. Okay. I'll go back again. April, try there. And then I want to just double check these dates. I'm just trying to get my dates together so I can give you the accurate dates, Amy, okay? Thank you for your patience. Is that? Okay, interesting. Okay. So that's going to be around September. Okay, got it. All right, so Amy, you want to know about big transits like Uranus over the North Node and then Pluto in the 9th, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the timer and then we're going to begin for yours. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to do was, I wanted to confirm dates and with Uranus, especially following the path of Uranus. So there is, of course, going to be the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which is going to happen on the 20th, 21st of April at 21 degrees in the sign of Taurus. So that's going to be 2024. And then the other thing about this, of course, is that Uranus is going to reach that, that 27-degree point within your chart. So thinking about the North Node for you, and that's going to be coming up around about September of this year. But of course, Uranus is going to retrograde for its, 6-month period. And then by the time we come up to 2025, so May 2025, there will be another hit, basically. So what does this all sort of suggest? Well, let's kind of think about the fact that you have the North Node in Taurus, right? And then you have the South Node in Scorpio, and you also have your Sun in Scorpio as well as Saturn. Actually, you have a Scorpio stellium on the 6th house. So to me, what this indicates is that when it comes to your services, your work, your occupation, it is so much about, really doing a lot of investigative research, really having to read between the lines, and being in a position of authority as well, actually, being in a pretty powerful position, might I add, because the Sun and Saturn are there, and then Pluto as well. I really think that when it comes to your work, you take it seriously and you care about your reputation. I would even suggest strongly so, you care about your reputation. And I think as well, a big part of this is linked to, healing practices or spiritual practices, even thinking about working strongly or closely with other people's finances, helping other people out of debt, helping them sort of manage their accounts, and even thinking about things like taxes or benefits, charges, fees, all this type of stuff. You're this type of person, or you're in a position where, you are front and center, and you're the person that people come to. And even just establishing yourself as a person in this way, establishing yourself when it comes to your work and being known as that person, as the go-to person who can be trusted and who is well respected, might I add as well. But you've put in a lot of time and a lot of dedication, and we even further see, I just want to mention, of course, you've got Venus and Capricorn in the 8th house, this domain that is tied to that of debt and taxes and loans and other people's money and investments and stuff like this. And then Venus and Jupiter both there in Capricorn in the 8th. It really indicates to me just how much, you have been in positions of authority in this way. So that is another thing I wanted to add. But here's the thing, right? The South Node is there, right? So the South Node is there on the Sun in Scorpio. So with that, then the North Node is in Taurus in the 12th house. So maybe this is kind of indicating that the North Node is highlighting this journey. It's highlighting a journey of greater relaxation, of greater sensuality, of greater inner exploration, and being able to even just take your time. It's like there's so much intensity and there's so much passion in this sixth house arena. And of course, I think that's great, right? You have this passion, but maybe the Taurus energy is it's inviting you to a little bit of time off, or a little bit of, greater rest, greater ease, indulging, this type of stuff, being able to really slow down, right? Even the North Node is there within the Saturn decan. And maybe this is highlighting just extra time for meditation or healing practices or music, or, thinking about art, imagination, visualizing, a bit of escapism from time to time, going on really nice therapeutic retreats. So, as Jupiter and Uranus are about to conjunct in Taurus for you in the 12th house, it could be quite a lightning, a lightning bolt has just hit you. And the momentum, as I've been sort of saying here, is it's building up, right? We're coming up to this conjunction, and I think it's going to look at major breakthroughs, renewals, releasing points, endings. And so maybe for you, there's an ending with respect to how it is that you do relax or retreat, how it is that you do spend your time behind the scenes. Maybe there's a greater vision, maybe there's a greater message that comes through, or maybe it's that this is looking at how you can comfort yourself or familiarize yourself with something different, to even think about your inner security and any sort of sensitive, emotional things that are coming up or have been coming up, even paying greater attention to your dreams and kind of what's happening there and the symbolism behind them and everything. So I think this conjunction could be rather eye-opening in a lot of ways, perhaps an awakening time as well, a time of clarity, or a time of like, oh, I'm seeing it all in the flash, like, oh, I can relate this back to my work, or I can relate this back to even my health, and even certain limitations and restrictions regarding my health, or things that I've been struggling with when it comes to my health, and how it is that you can maybe find a new way, a healthier way, a better way. And the other thing then with that is, as you were saying, Uranus is going to start to conjunct the North Node more strongly for you. So that's going to be extra potent then. But the other thing about it is to take it a step back, and we got to think about how Jupiter is going to take the lead, right? So Jupiter is going to move on past Uranus, and toward June, May, June time, Jupiter is going to conjunct that North Node energy more strongly for you, and then it's going to move into Gemini. So that threshold of the 12th to the first house, I think it's going to highlight, okay, some time to more so focus on relaxation and taking your time, or exploring more of those indulging, pleasurable moments, right? But then coming up to the Jupiter in Gemini transit for you, I think this is when things are really going to be really quite expansive with regard to ideas and curiosity and research and learning, and just really wanting to like dabble into different topics and subjects, and possibly wanting to go on certain trips, or wanting to broaden your horizons. And the other thing about it, of course, you mentioned the Pluto energy in the ninth house for you. Well, there's going to be a trine between Jupiter and Pluto coming up around that time. So coming into June time, there will be that trine between Pluto. I think Pluto will be retrograde, but yeah, Pluto retrograde, and then Jupiter in the first for you. And of course, Jupiter will trine Mars too. So to me, this is like adventurous energy, but a lot of it has to do with awakening something within you, right? This is what I'm getting, right? You have to kind of think about how Scorpio rules the sixth for you. Pluto is in Scorpio for you. And this means that Pluto rules the sixth house for you, and it's going to be in the seventh, and then it's also going to make a square. You're coming up to a Pluto square. I just want to say that, right? So the square between the natal Pluto and the transit Pluto, that is like, okay, it's time to revival anything that's like stiff, anything that needs to move in terms of energetics, the nervous system, any, tension that's built up in the body, Scorpio energy, it can fixate, right? This Scorpio, that fixed water can be really quite fixated on things, and things can um be quite stuck or stiff. So especially with Saturn as well in that house, this could perhaps be a thing. But maybe this is looking at extra greater movement, trying out just new things, spicing up your life, so to speak, right? And I think especially with the Gemini part of this mixed in with Aquarius, there is this thirst, this deep desire to want to change your path, especially when it comes to trying out new things, whether this be traveling to a new destination, whether this be dabbling into a new study, for example, taking on that program that you've been putting off for so long and finally just going, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. This could even be presented through the fact that the secondary progressed moon is in Aries for you, and that part of you, right? You're going through this stage right now with the secondary progressed moon in Aries where you're like, I want to try all the things, or I want to be a pioneer, right? I want to take the lead. I want to take the leap here. So there is that. And then the other thing that I want to mention with this is, so we got to sort of bring it back again to the, I want to finish. So we want to bring it back to Uranus again. So like I said, Jupiter's going to take the lead, but then Uranus come September time. That is also going to conjunct the North Node for you. So that is going to be extra electrifying. I think the conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus is going to kickstart a new cycle for you when it comes to these matters that we talked about earlier. But the Uranus part of it, I think, is going to just add to that story. I think the Uranus part of it is going to, it's going to still like say, oh, you remember this? Do you remember this? And it's taking your time. It's just taking your time to implement any significant changes. Then again, you know what? It could just be, of course, with Uranus, it could be that things just go completely out of order and it's so unexpected and it's so unfamiliar to you and you can't control it, right? That is the thing about Uranus, is Uranus can just hit, and no matter how much you prepare for any major sort of renewals, especially when we think about how this is tied to, your inner world, your safe space, your inner security, this type of stuff. There's just, it can feel like it's overwhelming. So the thing with that, I suppose, is with Uranus, expect the unexpected, but maybe this is also about being able to draw a bit from being able to ground yourself. And maybe Jupiter in Taurus has been teaching you this a lot, right? Jupiter has actually been teaching this, I think, for many people. It's the importance of actually being able to steady things, right? To come from a place of patience, that you don't really need to rush, right? Don't try and rush the progress. But those messages, those sort of cosmic downloads, I suppose, those intuitive messages and signals are going to come through, I think, because this is the 12th house. Last thing, just want to say, Amy, now we're on this Mars return, okay? Your Mars return is probably in the next week or so, couple of days, maybe. Could be very, very soon, basically. Look into your Mars return, look at the chart, see, what's going to unfold for you through that Mars in Aquarius perspective. But basically, this Mars return, I think, is looking at greater insights to do with freedom and independence. Okay, so that was yours, Amy. Thank you so much. I just want to say, is it Barbara? Did you send through a reading, a payment? Okay. Do you know what? Okay. So the readings, just want to say, the readings are closed, but Barbara, I will add you in. I'll add you in, seeing as you already did send it through, and I will also I will also send you a refund. Okay. I will send you a refund for that payment where in which you did not include your information. But thank you so much. Oh, there's also a question then that we have from Deidria. So I'm going to answer that question. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to close off this information for you, Amy. Okay, Barbara, no problem. Let's see. Yes, no problem. I will send it through. I will do it right after this session, okay? So we've got Deidria, and then Barbara, you will be the final person today. Thank you. I just need to get your information. Okay. Right. Uh, okay, so your question, Deidre, I'm just getting a few different timing techniques. Uh, Deidre, are you there? Are you in the audience still? I have a question for you. If you're not here, it's okay. Okay, so Deidre. Okay, so Deidre, you asked me about will your real estate venue will it take off? And the reason for why I was sort of hoping you would still be in the audience is because I was wanting to ask, when did that start? Right? So when did you open up this real estate venue? Because then I could have, looked more into the astrology in that way. But it's okay. Let's kind of think about it more so through a lens of, well, let's explore how So you have a lot of this Capricorn energy in the eighth house. And so you've got the sun there, Venus and Mercury all in Capricorn in the eighth house. Um, so in my view, Deidre, I see this as you being quite a business orientated person. I see this as you being someone who you prefer to invest. You're quite wise and savvy about the types of ventures that you do invest into. Even thinking about stakeholders that you work with, or thinking about the types of organizations that you collaborate with, and the type of names that you prefer to be associated with. I even see this how with you having the moon in Aries, very entrepreneurial. You're someone who, when you have a vision, when you have an idea, you want to really drive it home. You really want to run it through to completion in this regard. So yeah, I think that when we consider how, with the real estate stuff, and you have Venus there, you have just went through your Venus return recently, and so that could have been quite eye-opening in this way, especially when it came to business matters, earnings in this way, the type of income that you generate basically from your businesses. You even went through your Mercury return there as well recently. So maybe even just look to, especially the Venus return, look into that chart to kind of draw that to see for more information with regard to finances and earnings and successes in this way. Though I do really, with the real estate venture, it is something that I wish I had the time that you opened it up, the dates that you opened up that business, because we could have really drawn more information in this way. But if we also explore sort of other avenues, is when we think about certain transits. So we see here that Saturn is transiting the 10th house, right? So Saturn is the dispositor of all of that Capricorn energy. Saturn will transit your 10th house for the next couple of years. So the 10th house does look at business, it looks at our successes, our accomplishments, our achievements. And Jupiter then also is the ruler of Pisces there, and you've got that in Scorpio in the sixth house. So we could see here then certain structures that are created, certain foundations that are looked at when it comes to business and your professional life. But the other thing about it, of course, is we got to think about how Scorpio can be the sign of transformation. Scorpio can look at renewals, and this isn't necessarily, a negative or a bad thing, right? So essentially, I just think that this is looking at some delays. I'm really having to be somewhat serious and mature about the next step with respect to your business. And having to address the long term of what it is that you want out of it long term. And what I further want to mention is it's interesting to me because you have Virgo in the fourth house, right? And then Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So Mercury is in Capricorn there. So a lot of this is going back to the property stuff, the real estate stuff, the business entrepreneur stuff as well, isn't it? So it's all kind of coming back to that point. So I do sort of feel as if, from what you're saying, you're going along that path. I think what you're talking about is very much linked in with your career and with your professional life. But you did also, you asked about with content creation as well. And I wonder, is that content creation, through more of a lens of maybe, I'm not really sure, like influencer work or presenting yourself, marketing yourself, or is that content creation linked to the business in terms of real estate and how it is that you advertise it? But whatever way it may be, I do think that we are noticing some sort of creativity and artistic expression through this Pisces in the 10th house energy as well. So I do think essentially with Saturn transiting your 10th house, over the next few years, it is very much focusing upon, your public image and how you're seen, how you're viewed by others, thinking about the successes that you wish to make there, that you wish to build upon there, playing around with the fantasy world, playing around with art, graphics, design, this type of stuff, right? We can see this, I think, through Pisces, even with Neptune transiting the 10th house as well. There is, there's room basically to be somewhat um explorative, or to go with a greater flow, right? To be more led by art form and creativity, to kind of see, what is catching the public's eye, but catching up to that, being ahead of the curve as well when it comes to all that stuff. If you think about the online world. And the other thing, just to sort of finish this off, I do find it interesting that you have a Gemini rising. Okay. So, Gemini rising, I think, is really a rising sign that's able to um, try out try on different hats. Let's put it that way. Gemini risings are able to explore options and variety, and to see what works, right? To see what sticks. But there's also the curiosity, right? That real genuine curiosity towards different forms of media and technology. So to me, it just seems like you can be somewhat youthful, entertaining, childlike, free. There's this freedom part of you as well. And Mercury right now is transiting Aquarius, right? So Mercury is in Aquarius. It's transiting your ninth house. Eventually, Mercury is going to catch up and it's going to conjunct midheaven um, over the next week or so. So that could be quite significant in terms of how you market yourself, how you publish yourself, how you broadcast yourself, right? So maybe there are strong themes here to do with the likes of content creation and media and technology and all of this type of stuff. Even Pluto right now, that's just entered Aquarius. It's going to transit your ninth house. So there are major sort of renewals within this sort of arena for you. And we also see here how Venus and Mars have joined the party. And so I think they're highlighting a bit of a significant revival when it comes to broadcasting and publishing. But yeah, I think for you, essentially here, Deidre, I think what this is highlighting is that whatever it is, in terms of the choices present or available to you, I think essentially all this Aquarius energy is pointing to innovation. It's pointing to, okay, well, what can we experiment with? What other things can we try? What have we not thought of yet? And that is a big part of business, isn't it? With business, you need to be able to innovate. You need to be able to kind of move on to the next thing. You need to be able to pivot. And I think even as a Capricorn, you're aware of that, right? You're aware of these more sort of understandings when it comes to business. And so that can perhaps really support you on your journey. Okay, so Deidre, that was yours. And thank you so much. All right, so Barbara, you are the last person for today. Thank you so much for booking, everyone. All right, so I'm just going to put in your information. And you want to know, let me see. Career. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm just grabbing your chart. Quite a few Gemini risings as well today, I've noticed. Interesting. All right, so let's see. Okay. Thank you so much to all who have booked today. In order to ask questions about your chart, you do need to book with me, but we're fully booked for this evening. But maybe we will be back next week. Maybe. But yeah, thank you anyway for sending in your questions. Thank you for watching along as well. And just as a reminder here, folks, I do want to let you know about the workshop that I'm going to be hosting. It's going to be at the end of March. You can sign up for the workshop by going to the link in the description box. You can just register. It's just really a good way to express your interest. And we're going to be talking about annual perfections, right? This ancient timing technique, which can be really, really useful, can be used as an amazing tool. So you can join by registering and expressing your interest by going to the link in the description. I hope to hear from you. Okay, so Barbara, we're going to be looking at your chart, and you want to know about career. Got ya. Just getting a couple of timing techniques here to explore. And you also recently celebrated a birthday, Barbara. So happy birthday to Barbara. Happy birthday to you. All right. So I'm going to now set the timer. There we go. Okay, Barbara, interesting times ahead for you because you are going through your Saturn return at the moment, and things have been indeed uh, things have been reshaping in ways that perhaps you did not anticipate. But I think this is also looking at laying a solid foundation when it comes to your career path. And maybe for you, what's been coming up quite a bit, it's like, okay, well, what is the next step? Where do we go from here? What do I want? The secondary progressed Mars is also there, and it's conjunct Saturn too. So that Mars energy, it can look at your actions, your choices, your wants. So perhaps, these types of things are very strongly on your mind. And I think there is greater curiosity about, where do you see yourself, right? Where's a good fit? Where do you feel the most aligned? But this isn't just about being practical. Of course, you have your moon in Capricorn and you're all about being practical. But this is also about the spiritual side to things, right? This is really seeing, where do you feel it spiritually aligned? And where do you see yourself really progressing and doing well? And even just gaining some type of recognition because you do feel fulfilled. It's like, I feel fueled up here. I feel like this is the path that's right for me. So there is this sort of seeking quality, I think, with the Pisces energy. But this is also about choosing a path that is wise, right? Being wise about the decisions that you make and coming to decisions more so based upon your intuition and feelings, and not overlooking that, not denying the intuitive part of it. This could even be where, Barbara, where you feel the most sort of equipped or prepared, or where you feel the most settled with respect to career and ambition and success and everything, is stepping into a role where you're actually helping others, where you're being of service toward others, where you're sort of showing a great deal of compassion and empathy. Or maybe it's that you act as a guide, right? So you sort of guide other people, you help them along their own sort of journeys, whether this be a spiritual journey or an emotional one or a physical one. Okay. Um, but speaking of physical, you are about to experience your Mars return. It's interesting. We're noticing this with a few people today, with Mars being in Aquarius, the Mars return is coming up. But yeah, your Mars return um, is coming up. So I think with that one, that is going to be particularly eye opening in terms of, okay, what's the next step when it comes to training, when it comes to higher education, thinking about, perhaps how it is that you use a potential degree or a qualification that you've already achieved. Or thinking about what the next step is when it comes to travel or wanting to maybe explore other avenues, other territories, embarking on this journey toward the unknown, I think. And the other thing about it is the secondary progressed moon is in Aquarius there as well. And it's right there, it's conjunct the sun too. So it's in Aquarius and it's transiting the ninth house. So there is a lot of questioning here to do with, your meaning, your existence, and what is the next step? What is part of the plan in this way? And then also really banding together with others, wanting to be a part of a cause or a movement, or wanting to really stand for something that's much bigger than you, and wanting to connect and wanting to relate with other people, and to be a part of a group, right? There's this sort of group mentality that's strongly, strongly coming up. But I think a lot of that has to do with the changes that you wish to see within the world, the changes that you wish to see within society, thinking about social changes, especially, thinking about those bigger questions related to society and humanity at large, okay? And feeling really very strongly about all of this stuff right now. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that your Venus return is also going to be coming up because Venus has recently entered Aquarius. And so the Venus return for you it will be coming up in a few weeks or so, but that is also it's going to start a new cycle when it comes to your values, your earnings, your money basically, but also when it comes to your values and how they are related to principles and your beliefs and how they're related to things like exploration and higher learning and education and everything else. So there's a new cycle upon the horizon for you. Also, a new cycle did just start with the solar return happening recently for you with your birthday. And then there's also that other new cycle to do with success and goals and your ambitions regarding Mars there as well in Aquarius. So all of these returns, it's like bam, bam, bam. And then even the Mercury return will come up as well within the next few weeks. So let's just say this, Barbara, much change is coming for you, okay? Because there's so many returns coming up, and a lot of it then is to do with self-exploration, career, life path, and then much of it is even linked in with the Saturn return too. So to me, it appears as if over the next couple of years, right, you're going to change in more ways than you know. and you're going to be sort of looking back to this point and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my life, it's almost like I've done a complete 180 on my life, and the beliefs that I had back then are so far from what I believe now, right? It's all about that kind of retrospective, right? When it comes to astrology. So yes, these returns are coming up. And I also even think that perhaps the Pisces energy, especially with the Mercury return coming, we're even going to experience a Sun, Saturn, Mercury conjunction in the sign of Pisces. This is going to happen in your 10th house. Maybe this is going to illustrate or point toward visualization, creativity, being drawn toward art. This is a time period of mystery, embarking on a journey toward the unknown, having this real curiosity to want to explore the subconscious, or even working with people in this way, right? I think for you, there's so much fascination when it comes to psychology and why people do the things that they do. We see this with how you've got the Gemini rising, and then Mercury is the is a chart ruler, and then that's in Pisces. We see this through the fact that you have the moon in Capricorn as well, and in the 8th house. And that 8th house arena can be tied to the occult, paranormal, possibly you have psychic abilities or tendencies, or maybe it's that you've tapped into like other dimensions, if you will, or at least that's what it's felt like to you. And there is that that sheer curiosity that wants to dive deeper and wants to read into things more, and you want to take as much information, extract as much information as you can, but then you also want to throw into the mix all the Scorpio energy in the 6th house, and this even further adds to what I am saying. It's so interesting. The North Node is even there, Pluto is there, Jupiter is there, and of course Jupiter is the ruler of your 10th house, and it's the dispositor of the Pisces energy. So I really think that this is highlighting how much, you talk about career and things like this, perhaps your work, your career, how it is that you establish yourself within the world. These things are strongly linked to that of research, investigation, looking here at even wanting to heal and help and assist and be of service toward other people. Okay, even helping people through real addiction, or drug issues or codependency issues, seeing what they're battling with, what they're fighting with in this way, and you being this sort of assisting individual in their lives who can really help them through their dark times, through their dark moments. But here's the other thing about it, is the midheaven is actually in Aries, and it's in the Mars decan in Aries there in the 11th house. Then the secondary progressed Venus is also there in Aries. Of course, you've got Venus. So you've got Libra in the 5th, you've got Taurus in the 12th. So Venus, of course, does rule these houses for you. So I do think that this is indicating how it's other people that you really want to work with. It's about teamwork, I think, but at the same time, being a leader within a team. Okay, being that person on the front line, being that person who motivates other people around you, being the one who, you push other people to be their best versions, or you encourage them to overcome adversity, right? You remind them of their personal power, of their strength. Oh, okay. So that startled me a little bit. So yes, I just think, just to finish this here, Barbara, I do think that the midheaven in this position, it does indicate some type of leadership position, but then at the same time, with the secondary progressed Venus having just sort of entered, let me just look closely. Sorry, I just wanted to see if that was retrograde or not. It's not retrograde. It's okay. But yeah, with the secondary progressed Venus having just entered Aries, I do think that this is also looking toward, the aspect of this where it is about others. It is about pouring into relationships, but it's doing so in ways where you're straightforward, right? You're to the point with other people. You're able just to say it like it is, so that they can take what you give them and really run with it. Okay, so that was yours, Barbara. Thank you so much, everyone. That's everybody. Thank you, Barbara. And thank you so much from the Dark Tomb. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you all for booking today. I really hope that you find this video to be helpful. These readings to be helpful. I really do. But that is me. So I'm not taking any more questions today or doing any more readings. That is me this evening. Have a lovely Friday. Have a lovely weekend. Actually, I'm going to be back on tomorrow. Yes, I'm going to be back on tomorrow talking about the Aquarius archetype. Indeed. Barbara, you said, thank you so much. What a journey. Awesome. Yay. I'm so glad. I really hope that you benefited from it. Thank you for booking. And yes, 369, it's just a question that I'm not going to answer right now. But you know what? I do have a video about secondary progressions on my channel, so feel free to watch that video. Anyway, as I say, have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for booking, and I will talk to you later. Bye.